once that happens,
Hmm.
it's termed liberation because it's literally burned off every attachment
Hmm.
to this person body form, every attachment to any sort of movement within awareness, any content within awareness. There's no
Hmm.
attachment to it anymore. And that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you don't have preferences. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you don't still have likes and dislikes. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you don't want things to go a certain way. All of that is natural and continues to happen. It's just there's no attachment to the outcome. That's the only difference. Desire still exists. That's natural. But attachment is unnatural. And
Hmm.
attachment to outcome needs to be completely dismissed.
Hey, Chris.
What's up, man?
How you doing, dude? You're doing a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah. I mean, those just come so like effortlessly that like it doesn't even
Mm.
feel like I'm doing anything.
Hmm.
Like I really enjoy making those videos, and like it it has no bearing on whether like if zero people watched any of them, I would still
Yeah.
make them. Like that's how effortless and enjoyable making them is for me.
Well, and I feel like that's the whole point of making things,
Totally.
right?
Totally. I don't think it's art if you're making it to please somebody else. You know what I mean? Like,
I've been watching a lot of Rick Rubin clips,
oh yeah.
and that's exactly what he says. He goes basically saying that like making something for someone in mind isn't art. It's something else. He's like, that's commerce. That's not
Oh, yeah,
art.
exactly. That's like business or something. I don't
Yeah,
know, but like, yeah, no,
totally.
it like I've never considered myself an artist. Like obviously I like painting and doing weird random shit for myself, but like this is almost the first time that I feel like I've been making art, even though it's not art in like any sort of traditional sense, but art in the sense that like creating something that's just feels like a creative outpouring for nobody, except for the
Hmm.
creative act of like literally just making it. I enjoy just making it, and
Hmm.
it flows out so effortlessly that it's like it almost can't not be made.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy your haircut, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel good. I was in my Enkidu phase of like long beard and long hair and like wild man living in the mountains and stuff. And now I'm like getting here with to school. I'm like, holy shit, this is everything I've been like looking for. I didn't even know I was looking for so long. Like at least since Stevens Point.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, it's all here. And so I'm just like, all right, just like coming out of the woods. And dude, I so I've been doing more of those Sam Harris guided meditations.
Hmm.
They're like very much based in like Dzogchen based or like Advaita based.
Hmm.
There was this one where I'm closed my eyes and I'm just taking my fingertips and I'm moving them and then just so okay, I'm conflating two different things here. One was just the feeling the sensation and like even just feeling the impulse of moving my finger and then like tracing it back like okay there's a movement like there's an intention but where is the intention coming from? It's still just arising out of, and the best answer I can get is like any action or object in awareness is just always in response or reaction to a previous object or uh, form. It's just this never ending like um yeah response and or reaction, so they're just all and they're all coming out of nothing. And so it's just And even too, there's been some times too, same like walking where I'm just like walking and then all of a sudden I just have this very, I don't know if it's from meditate, I don't know from what's all doing, what's all happened triggering it, but I'm having moments where I'm like walking and it's just like unsure of the substantiality of myself and of anything. It's just like,
Those moments of broadness like really make you question, everything, and especially the self and doership. Like,
mhm,
first of all, is there a self? If so, where is it? Like, is it
yeah,
behind the eyes? Is like that's the automatic sense, is that like the self is behind the eyes somewhere. Like that's like the
I've been,
closest you can approximate it, but then from there there's nothing you can point to as in either physical apparatus or any sort of material that gives rise to eye.
that's been the my go-to inquiry lately, that that brings me to a very subtle and quick sense of openness, is like, where is the me that's behind my eyes that is seeing all of this? And immediately there's this kind of like, kind of internal feeling where it's like there is no me back there. And then I also, this kind of separation between out there and in here, kind of just, it like, it
Hmm.
just caves in and kind of, it just collapses kind of just for like, it's just seconds. It's very, only get very short, it's not sustained, but
Yeah.
it's, I feel it,
Yeah.
uh,
Do you want to know how to sustain it?
yes, oh yes. Yeah, I've been listening to this book called The Science of Enlightenment by Shinzen Young, and he talks about like first just recognizing the experience and then learning how to sustain it.
Hmm.
Yes, I
Yeah,
want to.
I'd be really curious what he says. I have not read that book, but I'd be really curious what he says. So we'll have to do this again when you like come to like some sort of like uh conclusion about what he says. Yeah.
Well, the one part he does, he has like systems of teaching, but one of them he was saying like the monk life is for that. Like you sit and you learn how to recognize it. When you recognize it, then you start trying to recognize it while doing really menial tasks like washing the dishes, sweeping, you know, really low, and then you just keep working yourself up from there.
Where does he say to sit? Like at what perspective does he recommend you take during those tasks?
He didn't, that wasn't as where I'm in the book now. It wasn't like a to do, but he was like explaining. He had like a moment of awakening, and then when he was, because he was living and working at a monk at a monastery, and then it clicked to him. He's like, oh, that's why we're just doing so many like, it's just simple living with just lots of chores, and the goal is to, once that is once recognition is there, then to like sustain it through the chores. And then I'm now I'm like extrapolating, and then it's like there's this other monk guy, like Tibetan Buddhist guy, who talks about when you hit a certain level of sustaining, then you basically are booted out of the monastery, and then you have to like go on a journey with no food, no money, nothing, and it's like adding fire to that sense of clarity. So you're just like begging for food and money and stuff, and you're just out there until like an initiation, until it's just burned into your being. It's just
Hmm.
cemented.
Yeah, I mean, as wild as that practice seems, it also like I also know like intuitively know exactly why they do that. Because when this like true seat in just the pure awareness, the awareness that, that was looking through your eyes when you were 3 years old, is the same
Mhm.
awareness that is looking through your eyes right now. You know, the awareness has been changeless, but that it's easy to think that you're established there until you're in a survival situation, until
Mhm.
you're fucking hungry, until you're in the fucking cold, you know, until you're fucking shivering in the middle of the night. Only then do you root out the last vestiges of like
Yeah.
any attachment to physical form, basically. And then everything kind of clarifies. It
Mhm.
clarifies as this changeless awareness. And it's this
Mhm.
changeless awareness that is your true seed. It's the fundamental nature of all sentient beings. And it's the fundamental nature in which everything arises, moves through, and disappears, including births and life cycles of the human
Mhm.
being.
Could you share with me ways to sustain it?
Yeah, just like what was recommended in those menial tasks, it's just continuing to remind yourself, I am just the awareness of this situation. And so I actually just had a really cool conversation with a guy named Johan from Sweden, and I
Mm.
was explaining this to him, and he really got it, I think. Like there was a
Mm.
major breakthrough, and it was really sweet to see. And basically, the direction was continue to he was having kind of a dispute with his family, and the recommendation to exit the wheel of reaction and, you know, yelling from this side,
Mhm.
yelling from this side, yelling from this side, is to understand that the awareness that you are is the exact same awareness that they are. So like
Mhm.
it's the same essence looking from two different perspectives. And if you can
Mhm.
just raise yourself into the just the state of awareness, whether or not they do that or not, you're providing the space, you're holding the space of truth
Mhm.
in that space. And so it doesn't matter what anybody else does, it doesn't matter what is going on, it doesn't matter what the contents of awareness are. They no longer sway you at some point when you become established here, but you become established here by continually returning to your fundamental essence, and that is the changeless awareness that is present in all states, in all uh, it's changeless and timeless, so it literally just does not sway no matter what
Mhm.
happens. It like and that goes for moments of suffering equally as it does for
Mhm.
moments of jubilation, of gleeful, blissful moments. Even in the good moments, remind yourself, I am just the awareness of this situation. And just continuing to go there is the best you can do, because once you get there, there's no more there's no more
Mhm.
doership dissolves because you've removed your stake in identity with personhood. You're now just changeless awareness, and so there's no more doer. And then some weird essence that's religiously and spiritually traditionally been called grace. I don't know what they call it in all traditions, but the Christian tradition that I've been brought up in, calls it grace. And I've never understood what grace was until basic Jake died, you know, that whole story. I explained it, but until grace happens, and it's some external ineffable force. So once you maintain this sort of seat in changeless awareness, you become primed for grace. And that is some external force that cleans the rest of you out, that
Mm.
burns the rest of it off. And that's likely what happens with these monks that are in these survival situations. You know, they
Mhm.
can't do anything, they're left with nothing. There's nothing that they can do about their present circumstance. And when that total kind of release, the hands up in the air, saying, I've got nothing here. There's nothing I can do. That total surrender. That's when grace happens. And that total
Mm.
surrender only happens when you're at this level of pure changeless awareness. So continuing to remind yourself of that is your nature. And to do that, you just basically, in any situation, you just ask yourself, what is aware of this? And you just abide as that. And the more you do that throughout any daily menial tasks, the more you put yourself in this position to be cleared out by some ineffable force that's
Mhm.
I call grace, I suppose.
Cool.
Yeah, and then that's what's termed. liberation, because that's, I mean, once that happens,
Hmm.
it's termed liberation because it's literally burned off every attachment
Hmm.
to this person body form, every attachment to any sort of movement within awareness, any content within awareness. There's no
Hmm.
attachment to it anymore. And that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you don't have preferences. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you don't still have likes and dislikes. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you don't want things to go a certain way. All of that is natural and continues to happen. It's just there's no attachment to the outcome. That's the only difference. Desire still exists. That's natural. But attachment is unnatural. And
Hmm.
attachment to outcome needs to be completely dismissed.
I and I feel like I've had so many flickers, of that state, of different degrees of that state. Yeah.
Have you had flickers of that, or has awareness had
Mm.
flickers of you, considering itself to be you? So you're always this changeless awareness, and
Hmm.
this,
Hmm.
like this, a metaphor that's often used is you're the space or you're the sky, and a cloud has condensed in that awareness that calls itself
Hmm.
Luke, and that cloud has been hanging around for 35, 36 years, 36 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
Wait, shit. I don't know how old
dude, I
actually.
forget all the fucking
I'm either
time.
35 or 36.
I forget all the fucking time. I think you're 35 because I think you turned 36 in April, right? Or wait, are you younger or older than me?
Yes. I'm I'm just slightly younger than you.
Yeah, okay. So you turned 36 in April. So for
Yeah.
36 years, this cloud of Luke has existed within awareness. And awareness
Yes.
has taken itself to be this Luke self. And when that's completely dismissed, awareness returns to its original nature that was always here.
Mm-hmm. I and then maybe to clearly say or say more clearly is there's been more breaks in that cloud of Luke
Mm.
lately. And
That's an important perspective shift to
yeah,
to to notice.
yeah. What do you so I had this conversation with a friend a little while ago because I was mentioning to them about these practices of recognition. And what do you think? Because one of the approaches I was kind of thinking of was like essentially the self that I consider to be Luke is like a really dense thought form,
Hmm.
you know, just as like a thought, just a regular thought is like a really tiny, less established thought form.
Hmm.
And the extrapolation can be made that this body and this being, living thing, is a, a dense, dense, dense thought form.
100%.
And so when I think of like dying well, I think of like if I want to die well, I die with like no regrets and no attachment and with ease and softness. And so providing kind of like that same level of gentleness and kindness, I guess it would just be the cloud to itself. but but I don't know.
The recommendation here is to die before you die. I'm sure you've heard
Yeah.
that phrase before. And it is
Yeah.
essentially this awareness realizing or disentangling itself from the cloud form of Luke. And so
Hmm.
one of the things, even while you were wondering about that, was I didn't want to interrupt, but the question that should always come into your mind is, what essence, or like what is aware that it wants to die well? Like what essence is wanting to die well?
Hmm.
Because the essence never dies. The essence
Mhm.
was never born,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's your true nature, and that is what you will be. So if you realize your true nature here before physical death, nothing dies except the
Mhm.
cloud just disappears. And then what does the sky, does the sky worry when the clouds disappear?
Mhm.
Of
Mhm.
course not.
What what could possibly, it's impossible to know, but what could possibly be um that which is awareness that brings everything, like what possibly could be awareness, that is the foundation of all things, that doesn't die, that's like, it's so, because I
Ah,
mean everything around us, I mean everything, like everything is known to, you know birth, life, and death, even inanimate objects, everything, returns to dust.
that's just the
Just,
contents of awareness.
but it's just like, it's just such a far out thing.
Are you asking what is awareness? Like, what is the substance of awareness that doesn't die?
How is it that there is anything at all? That there's like that, especially like awareness is not a thing, but it can be recognized, or it's recognizing. You know what I mean? It's like funny to talk about it as being something that
Because it
I
isn't.
am truly, but it's also like this unending thing.
It's right. And that's infinity. That
Yeah.
is infinity. And the seer, the like you've probably also heard this phrase, but it's a good pointer. The seer cannot be seen. In other words,
Hmm.
awareness cannot be known because if it were to
Hmm.
know awareness, if awareness were to know awareness, there would be this sliver of duality, and there
Hmm.
isn't that.
Hmm.
There would be a
Yeah.
separate awareness to know that awareness, and there isn't that. And that's why the seer can't be seen. That's why there's no recognizable essence. Just the closest you can get is returning to this pure changeless awareness that's looking out through your eyes. What essence is seeing? What essence is
Hmm.
hearing? What essence is tasting and touching? Where do all these senses report to? And what is the essence of that?
And it's just like, there isn't, it's just, there's nothing reporting to anything. It's just it manifesting as those things,
Exactly.
and it's just, talking about it makes me want to throw up.
Yes, that's such a normal reaction. That's
Yeah.
such a normal reaction. Yeah.
It's like
Because
I have like,
it's upsetting. It's upsetting to the
mhm,
physical body form, and the
yeah.
mind manifestation because it's like where can I that the like the animal self, the thing that thinks it
Hmm.
is running in circles right now in total panic,
Hmm.
realizing that it's never existed in the first place, that it's
Hmm.
always just been a thought form within this timeless, changeless awareness. But the
Hmm.
more you can grapple with that and the more you can find comfort in that, which
Hmm.
which it doesn't take very much effort, you really just continue to remind yourself that you are this changeless essence, that you are this awareness of this moment in each moment, regardless of its
Hmm.
contents. And as you continue to do that, like things just sort of clarify. But yeah, there are visceral body reactions, energetic reactions along the way, but they don't last
Totally.
for very long, especially if
Well,
you're
and I,
direct. If you're
yeah.
like, they could last a whole lifetime if you kind of dilly dally around it and get scared away every time you have a
Hmm.
like an uncomfortable visceral reaction. But if you just fucking be like, okay, who or what essence is aware of the one who is upset by this?
Hmm.
Like there's still an essence of awareness there. Okay, I'm that. I'll take that seat and just watch the body form do whatever it does, or watch the
Hmm.
mind do whatever it does.
Hmm. Hmm. So here's another question. As a means of like really, I guess it could be two ways, but as a means of really sitting and facing all of that, do you think that there's like a better approach in terms of either like long time sitting or lots of little lookings throughout the day?
I think you really just need to listen to your own intuition. I think like everybody is called to something different. You know, some people are
Hmm.
called towards
Hmm.
entheogenic plant medicine, and some people aren't. And some people are
Hmm.
called to meditation, and some people aren't. And some people are called to the expression of art, and some people aren't. And
Hmm.
but that's all an equally valuable manifestation of just that
Hmm.
single essence. And all of it are doorways. You know, you can
Hmm.
explore this through any fucking door you want. However you feel
Yeah.
personally called is probably the most direct path.
I'm laughing because I'm like, I feel like, you know, I've been trying to face tough things and also face things that I have resistance to that feel intrinsically important, intuitively important, like not just facing hard things for the fuck of it, but like, moving out here was something that was very much I resisted and it was like this process. And I feel like I'm starting to get closed in by all the things, like I feel those resistance towards art making. I used in some, in some instances of meditation, mostly I'm like, I really love my morning practice and I look forward to doing it. And I can really, there's a sinking into and the kind of very gentle cloud partings that happen in that. And it's just the softest, most gentle thing. And the the things that are I've cultivated in my life are forcing that ego to sit aside more and more in every direction. It's, it's like getting kind of trapped in a corner um, by my activities.
Can I share a story with you?
Yeah.
I've never told you this story. Maybe I did, and I have to tell it pretty quick because we got 2 minutes and 30 seconds
Oh
left.
shit.
So in college is probably when this started, when we lived together
Yeah.
in the house actually. I remember having this sort of like personal crisis moment because you were just this like artistic free-flowing fucking guy, and you were just seemed to be like really good at art, and you'd be singing, and I liked how you were singing. You'd be strumming on your guitar, and I liked how you're strumming on your guitar, and I was like, what the fuck am I good at? I was like, like I used to play sports or whatever, but I don't do that anymore. I was like, what the fuck am I good at? And like this guy seems good at everything, like pulling ladies and everything. Like you were good at that in college too. And
Oh man.
jumping fences, landing on your head, doesn't even get
Oh
knocked
my.
out. What the fuck? So I remember thinking, well, who the fuck am I? Like
Mm,
who am I? And like I had this like personal like crisis moment where I was like,
mm,
who am I? Like what am I? Like what am I here for? What is my purpose? But mostly, who the fuck am I? Like what
mm,
is the truth? Like what
mm,
am I? And it was that like really, really strong demand to know the truth of who I am that kind of,
mm,
I think, started all of this. And it definitely
mhm,
started the Kundalini experiences.
mm,
The first Kundalini experience, I was laying in bed in the futon, uh, maybe that same night that I had that crisis, and it felt like
mm.
maybe I told you the story. I felt this like sparkler being pushed into the center of
Yes.
my forehead, And
Yep, I
whether
remember
my
that.
eyes were open or shut, all I could see is these fucking sparks, and it freaked me the fuck out. But eventually, I just like succumbed to it because I couldn't do anything about it anyways, and I wasn't sure if I was just hammered or high or what. So I was just like, oh well, what I'm fucked, like whatever. I don't know who I am, and whatever the fuck happens is whatever the fuck happens. And so that began the kind of